Oh, goodness. Well, I'm glad we got the technical difficulties sorted out because we are live. Hello. I am Austin Harrison, and this is the first ever episode live.
No, it's the first ever live episode.
Dang it, why can't I get this
I don't know. You've had 5 tries.
5 tries.
I'm adding 1.
No, this is the 4th try. Welcome to IV Games Live?
IV Games Weekly.
Live. Okay, yeah. The first ever live episode of IV Games Weekly. I'm Austin Harrison. I am joined by the lovely Zach Dixon.
Thank you.
And the special Max Anderson. That sounded like a derogatory way I said that. No. The very special Max Anderson.
He's special to us.
He's not our special guest this week.
He's a special regular.
He's our special regular. We have a sad face here because we don't have a special guest this week. But next week, we do have a special guest, and I'm very excited. You will know her from Before You Play. Her name is Monique, and Monique, I am not going to do your last name correctly, but I'm going to try. Monique McKazit. Anyone correct me, please. But yeah, really excited to have her come on the show. We're hoping to also have her come on for some, games and stuff in the future. Speaking of games.
I don't know where you're going, but 2 things on everybody's mind. 1, where are our Moonrakers boxes?
Well, yeah, they are on the water.
They're on the
I think
where
they're
are they
actually
Where are the port?
about to go through the Panama Canal.
Okay, nice.
They're
That's
just
cool.
west of there. And so they're going to go through the Panama Canal, and then they're going to go to Jacksonville, Florida, and then they're going to go to QML, and then they're going to go to all of you. So that is where we're at with that.
Something I just realized I thought until this moment, I thought they were, and this is dumb, and I know this is going to make me sound dumb. I thought they were going the other way around the world.
I totally
and
did too.
I'm like they were gonna make this way around down around Africa, and then I'm like, why are they going through the Panama Canal?
Oh.
They're going the wrong way.
They are going the
this
wrong way.
makes
Way more sense.
Way
more sense. Yes.
When are we getting our Moonrakers copies?
When are we getting?
Yeah, when?
Oh, that was a really very bland way to go into that question. There was no inflection telling me it was a question.
Oh, so that's how I roll.
So QML will get all the copies of Moonrakers middle of September.
Great.
And then they have to repackage them and start shipping them. And that will be the last week of September.
Great.
There's a chance you might not get your copy until the first week of October, depending on where you are. But that's how the schedule is looking. So I'm really pumped about that. Cool. I cannot wait to get these games out to people.
Me too.
Age of Adam and Ryan Hermes, very, very happy to be here. Thank you for watching. And it works. Yeah. Good morning. So
and then the other thing, sorry, to do wrap. What we
this is what I was leading you into the first time.
Well, I mean, I just think we talk about Moonrakers, then we talk about this.
Right.
What's
There's something on our table. Who made this? I don't know what this is.
I don't know what this is.
I think this is a game called Veiled Fate coming to Kickstarter on October 15th.
Wow.
Is that it?
That is it.
I think it's it.
So this is it. This is our special guest this week.
Oh gosh, we should have done that.
I know
The
Veiled Fate prototype copy.
So tell me what on the board is done and what's not, because there are some things on that board that are not done.
I mean,
the minis aren't painted.
The minis aren't painted.
Stage Whisper.
And they're still my early attempts at 3D printing. I'm learning. Max is my coach.
Yep.
And he's teaching me the ways of 3D printing. How am I doing, Max? Just that's it. That's all you got for me.
So
you'll get there.
I'm learning. It's getting better. Printing them separately now, so it's easier to paint the bases. But yeah, I'm really stoked with how they're starting to come out.
Yeah.
We just sent some minis out.
We did to be painted. Really excited about that.
And we're starting to post really great looks at the minis on Instagram. True. We posted Penta
yesterday.
This is her.
So, question for you.
For me.
This is back to Moonraker. Sorry to mess up your flow.
Wow.
But Evan Borsier.
Oh yeah.
You know him.
Borsier.
That's how we're saying his name.
Borsier?
I think it's Borsier. Wants to know if he can come pick up Moonrakers from your house.
That's my copy?
Yeah.
And
no. No is the answer. We're not giving out Zach's address.
Love you.
Jacob Porter was really excited for our chipmunk voices. If you weren't aware, we did a test last week or earlier this week, I think. And when we did the test,
what is time?
All of our voices were chipmunk voices. And it was comical, and I wanted to leave it, but Sam said no and fixed it. So you're stuck with our real voices, unfortunately. Hi, Cody. So go ahead.
So back to your question. Everything else is actually looking pretty good on these early prototype copies. The quest cards are wonderfully massive.
They
I
are
love
massive.
how big they are.
and they feel really. They've got a really nice texture quality, which I like.
Can you just like explain slightly a little bit about that card?
A little bit about this card specifically, or what quests are in general?
Both.
Okay. This card is titled "Destroy the Daemon." It goes in one of our quest demon. Daemon?
It's Daemon.
I don't.
I don't think that's
I
it.
don't think
I don't
that
know.
is it. Let us know in the chat how you pronounce that. I want to see your best phonetic spellings. What are those called? Like the etymology? No.
No, that's like the history of the word.
No, yeah, that is history. What is the thing where you
The
have
phonetics.
like the phonetics?
I thought
the
it was
phonetics
phonetic.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
got
Okay,
it. You got it right.
I think you're right.
Don't question yourself. You're perfect.
So basically, the way quests work, you got 2 actions on your turn. You may move any demi, not just your own, onto a quest slot.
Which are those big circles?
The middle circles.
Yeah.
So this would be a demi. Could go in.
That's Naka?
Yes. Yes. Could go in one of these quest slots, and then when you place a demi on the quest slot, you use one of your fate cards, which are essentially a vote in one direction or the other, towards the scorpion result side or the feather result side. Once the quest is filled up with demis, this icon up here is a number 1. If I were the person to finish the quest, I would choose another player at the table, and they would add an additional vote card. I would shuffle it, and then flip those up, see which side is resolved, and then you resolve depending upon which side is on. So there's more feathers or more scorpions.
You get points or you lose points, basically.
Exactly, yeah. And you can get smited to the abyss as
sounds
well.
That
you could flip the fate coin, which
we don't have one yet.
Have one
there
yet.
actually might be one out there at the mail center. Yeah, I'll look later.
Okay.
John says that it is spelled demon, or not spelled. Wow.
Pronounced demon. Just like a normal demon.
Just like a normal
just added
demon.
a for fun.
Yep.
I mean, I like it.
This is blowing my mind.
I think
I really thought it was Damon.
I did too, but that's a person's name. No one's
So
name
it
would.
can't be also this.
I don't know.
I don't know either.
Yeah, good question. So let's get into our special topic, because it actually has a lot to do with what you were just talking about.
Yeah.
We're going to be talking about playtesting today, and not just playtesting our games, but playtesting as a whole. How to be a good playtester if you're making a game. How to look for playtesters, and what kind of questions and notes and things to take. And it's something that we've done a lot, and it's been very different experiences between Moonrakers and Veiled Fate. So I thought it'd be fun to kind of talk to you guys and with you guys about this process that we've been through.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm going to ask the first question, if that's all right.
Hit us with some questions. I've got some notes. So.
Yeah. What kind of info is helpful to a person making a game?
Just like
while
in the context of a playtest?
If you're playtesting a game, what kind of, like, let's say you were holding a playtest, and I'll answer this question too. But like, what information are you looking for from people that are playing the game?
I got one.
Oh, go Max.
I think probably the most important one.
Yeah.
Is it fun?
You know, that's a good question.
See, that's a loaded question.
It's loaded though.
Huh?
So
but it's still like, not that you need them to say it's fun.
Tell me it's
like,
fun.
Read the room.
Okay.
I'm just saying that is the most important, information to gain from playtesting.
Yeah.
Have any of us ever asked someone, "Is it fun?" and they're just like, "No."
Yes.
Really?
Yes. On when we're talking about our games? No.
Yeah.
No.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah. Our games are never not fun. No way.
No. I mean, honestly, we've asked ourselves that question, and the answer's been no.
Oh, yeah,
a
that's
lot.
true. That's true.
Yeah, but that's easier.
But
I want to see that playtester that's that honest.
I know, that'd be great. We invite them all the time because I love that.
Yeah.
Let's just say no because we said this now.
You know, that actually gets into one of my other questions, and we'll jump back to the most important information. I think that'll be throughout this whole conversation. But
sure.
The honesty part, like how honest should you be as a playtester? And my answer is brutally honest.
Should you be? Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Would I
like
be?
a good liar.
But does that mean be mean? Like, is the goal to just like educate them on how bad their game is?
Now you're just getting into like
interpersonal communication styles.
Like,
because the
communication
perception
classes,
in this case. Like, if they're looking for honest feedback and you give it to them, they can take it as mean or not.
Yeah, but I mean, we've all seen those Kickstarter comments where there's like, well, Kickstarter's a little late because the game's usually already done. But like people that get really defensive.
Are terrible.
Well, yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Oh, there's both sides of the coin there.
It's hard not to be defensive when someone's telling you
for sure.
this does not work.
Yeah.
Like, I'm like, no, it works. You just aren't doing it right.
So the tough thing about the is it fun question is like I feel like that gets a little bit at personal preference though.
Yeah.
Too, and also it's like no one's really going to tell you no to your face, at least very often.
Yeah, maybe not very often.
I don't know.
Yeah, I want to clarify something.
Okay,
though.
clarify.
Like, the question initially was the info you're gathering from playtests. And I am not saying at all that is a question you should be asking playtesters.
Right.
I'm just saying that is the most important thing at the end of the day when it comes to playtesting your game.
What are the metrics that you are judging this level of funness by?
I mean, if you're watching the game, I think that's something you're able to tell quite a bit. I mean, like, I guess somewhat depending on the personalities at the table, but like, if I'm watching a game happen, whether I'm a part of it or not, I definitely know whether or not people like the game. I feel that way every time I bring a new game to a table.
Yeah,
like,
that's true.
You're always thinking that, like, is everyone having fun?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's a big stressor for me, especially with people that don't play a lot of games. Like, is this fun for them? I know it's fun for me if it's a game I love, but like, is this fun for them? And then you get into that with your game. Like, do they just not like this type of game that you are playtesting, or is it a bad game? And to accomplish that, like, and to figure out which one it is, you really have to just do a lot of playtesting.
Yeah, it's just numbers game.
It's a numbers game then, because not everyone is going to like your game. That doesn't mean it's a bad game. That just means that people have different tastes. Like, that's a no-brainer.
Totally. I also, so the other part of that question, that the thing that I'm looking for is just like, what aren't people understanding?
Yeah.
And it's also interesting too, is like trying to get a sense for like how they are responding to the way we are presenting the game.
Yeah.
Because there's so much more to like playing a game, and even like the way that the rules function, and like that perception, whether it's like the marketing ahead of time, or how it was explained to you, or how it was I don't know, just like the whole context around the game is just as important, I think, as the rules as well too. And so a lot of that's just like, if there's a consistent thing that people are getting tripped up on, it's like, how do we need to change our presentation? How do we need to change the way we explain the rules to make sure that doesn't happen? So it's like really like clarity of rules, but also I think it's just like, if you're not picking up on like the spirit of the game, we need to change the way that it's presented.
All right, two things. Number one, that was going to be my next point, the spirit of the game. So let's come back to that, because some people have ideas that might be good ideas for a game, but they're not a good idea for the game you're trying to make. And that's a big difference, and you have to know the spirit of your game going in. Otherwise, you don't have direction that you can take all of this feedback and merge it into the direction that you're going. But you're talking about rule books, and that's actually a question we got in the chat.
Oh, yeah.
So Galazzo Game, sorry if I mispronounced that, wants to know tips for playtesting rule books. I'm going to go first if that's all right. So we've done it two ways.
Wait, that's the whole question?
Yep, they want help with playtesting. They want to know information for playtesting their rule book. Like, how do we test our rule book, basically?
Got it.
So for us, we don't start off with a rule book in demos playtesting. We start off with the idea, I am the keeper of the rules. No one can challenge me. I make everything. I am the iron law. And then our playtesters hate that because I change it. Looking at you, Discord. Anyway, and that is just so we can playtest on the fly. Like, we're not having to edit a document like every 5 seconds. We're keeping notes about the rules that we're doing, but it's not like polished. It's not designed. People don't need to go and sift through this. They're learning it from me. I am the rule book. Zach is the rule book. Max is the rule book. That you can't do forever, because you need to do decentralized playtesting. You need to do things that you're not currently engaged in, and you need to test your rulebook for launch. So we do this in two ways. First way is people that have already played the game get the rulebook. They've never seen the rulebook before. They tell you what rules you're missing, because hopefully they've played a lot of games of it, and they know, hey, you actually didn't explain this part very well, or you're missing this rule. They test it for flow. They test it for all this, but they have the experience of playing the game. So they're just going to help you make sure everything's in there. They're going to make sure it flows well. They're going to tell you, hey, you spelled everything wrong. That happens. And then the second audience is people that have never played the game before, and you are not there. You give them the rule book, and you say, play this game. really great if you can get that recorded. There are actually services that will do that. They will record them learning and playing the game, and it's amazing. It's actually pretty cheap. I have to look up who that was. Anyway,
Great. Let's do it.
The other option is you just get a report back from them, and that is, were you able to play the game with this rulebook? Were there parts of the rulebook that didn't work? And that leads us into surveys after people play the games. You need to have a survey. If you don't have a survey, you're missing out on so much good data. And so we need to change our survey because we're about to release our rulebook, and we need to add questions of, was the rulebook clear? Are there sections of the rulebook that you wish you could find out more information on? Was our glossary, did it miss some words? Like things like that. So regarding the rulebook, though, I would start off with those two camps. And I've been talking for like an hour, so I'm going to pass it off to Zach and Max.
Well, the other thing that's interesting, too, is, and I don't have any data to back this up, but I'm curious what you all do in the chat. Like, I don't read rulebooks anymore. I just got, I'm going to play it tonight. The Discord told me about it. El Dorado, islands
of El Dorado.
El Dorado. Mm-hmm. And like the rulebook seemed great, but their videos on YouTube were wonderful. I just popped it on my TV, and like, you know, I think 10 minutes went by, and I knew how to play the game.
Yeah.
And
I do that.
And so I'm curious. Like, obviously, your rulebook is important. You want people to be able to play it without having to watch a tutorial. But I do think it's a little bit less important. Is that a hot take? Like, it's not as important as it used to be.
I think it's more supplemental at this point. Like,
yeah, just like, I gotta find this rule.
Exactly. Like, I'll learn as much as I can online from watching videos, and then when I'm teaching the game, I'm gonna run into things that like I don't remember, and then it's good to have that around. But like, yeah, I don't know the last time I've learned it strictly from a rule book.
Oh yeah,
it's hard.
It is
a really tough thing.
And the other thing, and this is maybe a little bit tangential, but we're working on a rule book right now for Veiled Fate, and there's two things that we think about, and I think one really does come into play in playtest. There are two functions of your rule book, right? Learn how to play the game, and then two, settle an argument while you're playing the game, right? Essentially, or just like, or not just settle an argument, but like look up a clarification, or like be able to find stuff easily. So like, that's why like flow is important, and like that like ease of, you know, getting to the section that describes the exact thing you want it to. And so that's something I think right now we're going to be looking at in our playtest. It's just like, hey, instead of asking Austin about that, like go find that in the rule book and see how long that takes you.
No one will need me anymore.
This is the only reason people need you. So
gosh.
Obviously not true. You are lovely in every way.
Oh, thank you. So we actually had a good question. Not actually, like it's surprising. Wow. Good job, Austin. We had a question from the YouTube chat about how to find playtesters. And we had a really unique experience for Veiled Fate because we already had an audience for Moonrakers, and they wanted to play Veiled Fate. So that was easy. Moonrakers was not easy.
Not easy.
It was mostly me, Zach, and Max, and our wives and best friend.
Poor friend Ben.
Yeah, poor Ben. Playing
like
this
we're playing
game
this terrible game
again and again and again
with no art.
Yeah,
that you glued together.
I literally pasted it to cards, like blank cards. Anyway, it was bad. But thanks, Jacob. We need you too. So it is one of those things where like we went to game nights, like local game nights. We did like local conferences. We went to non-local conferences. We did First Exposure Playtest Hall at Gen Con. All of that you can't do right now.
Yeah.
You should do it really when the pandemic's over. But my advice to you, person that asked this question, is you should try to join online communities that are also other game makers making games and play their games.
Yeah.
And then not only will you learn something because you're playing someone else's game, but you can ask them to play your game. In fact, we have an entire channel dedicated on our Discord to this one thing.
Member Game Design.
So
and
join the Discord.
They regularly play playtest games on Tabletop Sim, and I've been trying to get in there. I'm very sorry.
Well, we're going to force you to.
We'll get in there. Yeah. But
Kung Fu Quickness has a great vampire game.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Right now, that he's been developing the whole time.
But it looks amazing.
It looks amazing. Yeah.
So please join, and people will help you playtest your game in our Discord. I think I can't like make anybody do it, but they seem really excited about it. So, also but the tough thing too is like, you know, a lot of times you do want to have that like in-person prototype. So unfortunately, a lot of the like, how do you get playtesters is also just like, so how do you make friends? You know, that's just hard.
Yeah, friendship is hard.
Especially as you get older, you have kids.
It's hard.
You know.
Yeah, I mean, it's friends or money. You just pay people to play your
Oh,
game.
right. Yeah, you could do that.
Friends are money.
You should definitely. I would say, like, at what point do you start playtesting too? Like, that's hard.
Well, I mean, that's a whole thing.
Yeah, I mean, it's a new question, so.
That's it. So I think I'm curious your take on this too, Max. But I think that like, I do not think it should be an expectation to begin playtesting that you will be able to make it through an entire game.
Oh, yeah.
Like I think like it is just worth sometimes playing for 10 minutes of a game that maybe even takes like 2 hours. You learn so much about your game by just setting it up, seeing it on the table, and just like starting to play around. And you're just like, oh, here are 10 things that aren't working about this that I never would have seen.
You learn
before.
that your game sucks.
Oh yeah, but you learn why. You already know it sucks.
Yeah.
You just learn more clearly a little bit why.
Every time I've sat down to play a V1, I have been like, this is going to go pretty well. I'm excited about this. I think we'll get through a whole game. And I have not once made it past like the second round because I'm like, there are so many flaws that this is unplayable.
Yeah, and then you go into a slight depression.
Yeah, it's a spiral, and then you come back up.
Yeah.
And I don't know, the earliest like you can get it to the table, the better, because I think, especially in like game design like this, games are so fun and are so balanced in your mind.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's so easy to do where it's like this works perfectly, like everything is great, and if you start building on that in your head and add more elements to the already core balanced game before you even get it to a table, especially just with you and the other people designing, like I think it's a whole different question for when you bring other people into it, because the earlier you do that, the more influence they might have over like making it their game, I guess. Like it's a totally different game.
I don't know if I agree with that, but what were you gonna say?
I actually really like that Max said that, because that gets back to the spirit of the game that you want to make.
So I do think there is a danger of letting people in too early though. Like before
that's what I'm saying.
That's what he said, yeah.
Maybe I should listen better.
Yeah, that's all right. That's actually one of the that's one of the things that playtesters should do. Or the
listen.
People, yeah, no. The people putting on the playtest need to listen.
Yes.
They need to talk less, which is my biggest failing on playtests, and listen more. Is one of my notes on here actually. But no, let's get back to the spirit of the game. So when we were playtesting Moonrakers, people told us it would be cool if you could do more attacks against the other players. But the point of Moonrakers is that you are a faction working together to try to rebel against this massive, faction that has oppressed you for a long time. So you're not wanting to hurt them. Like you just want to rule. You want to be the top in your clan. You want to rule the Moonrakers. And so you're not trying to kill them. You're not going to shoot a rocket at them.
No.
Not yet, anyway. Dun dun dun.
Oh wow!
Yeah,
you teasing
I'm teasing something
expansion that we haven't even made yet.
No, definitely not.
Now we have to.
Now we have to. Yeah,
now that you said it, I just said dun dun.
It's
dun.
live, so.
All right. Anyway, but we got a lot of feedback that we like attacking. Like it would be fun to attack the other players, but that wasn't in the spirit of the game that we wanted to make. It was a game about collaboration. You're still trying to win, but you have to collaborate with the other people at the table, and attacking them directly would hurt that. Didn't stop us from putting a saboteur card in the objectives. But there's only one in the whole game, so anyway,
it's very fun.
It is very fun.
No, I think, and that comes to like parsing feedback. So like I do think if you are getting those feedbacks that like just go against these like core tenets that you set out, or like the emotions you want people to feel, or your general narrative, like. You don't need to change those things, I think, but you might need to change the way that you are framing it or the way you are setting up the experience, because they are not tapping into those core feelings yet. And so like it sometimes you're like, oh, like they have this great idea for like a balance change or like just a completely new mechanic, and it's like, okay, that could be an interesting idea. That's a different game, but like also might be time to think about like, oh, how could we be setting up this differently so that they're not thinking about it that way. Because they're clearly not like picking up. I don't know, but other times people are just trying to be helpful and just throw out ideas, and you can just ignore them. And maybe that's not a nice thing to say, but like sometimes you just have to. But I do think it's always a helpful data point because you're able to see like, maybe I'm not communicating this well enough, or that maybe this isn't working.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think there's different categories of the type of feedback they're giving. There's I think the core stuff, which is like, is this unbalanced? Is this balanced? Is like this not working at all? And like those are things that, regardless if you're like more defensive against, like those are things you definitely have to at least wrestle with a bit.
Yeah, you have to know. Mm-hmm.
And then there is the other things, which is like them just throwing out new ideas for your game.
Yep.
And those are like, there's a heavy gatekeeper there just to be like, is that worth trying out? Like, what does that add something? Does it go against the spirit? And like that stuff is way looser in terms of like its value, I guess. Like it's just like that's something that's more for you to decide against.
So, hot tip for people running playtests: if you focus in what you're currently working on and ask for feedback there, that can really
Framing
help.
Feedback.
We just did that. Thank you, Zach, for giving it a name because I didn't have that.
It's one on my list. Checking it off.
Framing feedback. We just did that with a playtest of Veiled Fate. I said, we are currently working on age cards. We do not have enough ideas, and we are not coming up with more. We need your help. And the Discord had incredible help.
Yeah, they're going to make it in the game.
Yeah, Odin had one that is making it in the game for sure.
Yeah.
So thank you, Odin. So it is definitely something where it drastically can help your game, and it really helps quickly. Like if you have a group playing, like.
Well, a little bit of context too. Like you get to a certain point in production where it's like people playtesting games, they want to have ideas, right? And you want to hear their ideas and be able to listen. But also, like, we're pretty locked into quite a few things at this point, right? Like, we can't add new pieces at this point.
Yep.
Because
we got to be not going to be a triangle now.
Yeah, exactly. Like we I don't know, but that's a pretty good idea though.
Not this board, but a future board, a triangle board. That sounds awesome. All right, sorry.
Isosceles or equilateral?
Equilateral.
Okay. Isosceles.
Oh
no. What? Oh no.
Obtuse or acute?
Acute.
Like something that would be really good for
you
that
guys
table.
have triangle opinions. Okay.
It's a cute triangle. How can you not choose it? I'm sorry, I'll leave.
I mean, it's one of the themes of the game. Do you want it to be obtuse? Because then that could really like say something about like the underlying feeling of the. Okay. Okay, so like at this point, we can't add any more minis. We can't add any more pieces. But one thing we can change on the game itself is really anything on the cards. Because one, it's really like relatively quick to get new prints made. It's really easy to load those into Tabletop Simulator and play test them. And honestly, there still is a ton of ways that you can change the game and experiment and do really interesting things. And the only thing that you have to change is one section of text or one card. And that's really easy workload. And so we started framing our tests in that way. It's just like, giving them the information of like, here's some general, like, here's how we want the game to flow. Here's our general feelings. And overall, can you fit your feedback into this framework? And like the Discord channels that are like related to playtest feedback have been like super on point, really helpful. And we've got some ideas that we never would have come up with on our own. Yeah.
So 2 questions, and then we'll wrap up this section. How do you be a good playtester, and how do you put on good playtests? Let's start with how to be a good playtester, and I'll give you guys a second to think. So one thing that I have in my notes is that you're going to find negatives, especially if the game is early on, and try to also find a positive that you frame that with. Say, I liked this, I didn't love or understand or think this worked or it was unbalanced. Like, give them constructive feedback on whys, not just, I didn't like this. But also pair that with something that you did like. I liked the art. I liked this card. I liked the way that I felt when I played this. So, yeah, things like that.
Yeah, what you got, Max?
I'm still thinking about that answer. Austin, what's your reasoning for the
try to find
positive? Yeah.
So early on, we're in all of our games, we've already been thinking about canning a lot of these projects because we're just like, is this working? Is it fun? Like, this isn't fun. And like, your goal as a playtester is not to tell them that they're bad at making games. It's to help make the game better. And so if you can give them something that you liked about the game, that's a nugget they can hold on to and they can build upon, versus just all of this doesn't work. Does that make sense?
Okay.
But I'm fine
No,
with you shooting it down.
Well, you
no,
need,
I think that makes sense. It sounds a lot like one of those just like you got to pair it with a compliment in order for them to like take it better, and like that I don't agree with.
Yeah,
in
no,
that
no, you
sense.
don't need to coddle them. It's their game, and
yeah,
you're
if you
there to-
like nothing about it,
Oh, yeah.
then don't say anything nice. But I think there is also like you have to know, to what you said at the beginning, Max, is like what is the most fun thing? Like what is the things that you do love, because then you don't want to lose that and you want to like chase that feeling. So like getting like you gotta give them those like what are the feelings, what are the moments that like I just really enjoyed, and then you can take those and try and expand upon them and make them happen more often. So I think that's important.
Yeah, and I would say that I think up front, being proactive in knowing before you play what it is they want from you. Like what are they looking for specifically? Like you're talking about being like as a play tester or as a running a play test, you should be telling them that. But I think if you have not heard that yet, it'd be good to know going into it. Like maybe they want you to just like play the game and like get into it as much as you can and just like see if it's working as a whole, or it's like we're looking at these specific elements of the game.
Yeah.
And we'd love to know how those are working.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
for me, I think it's just like ask good questions as a playtester. Like it's just like, if like a team or someone that you like your friends making a game, like just ask them like what are some things that you're working on right now, like what are some things that like can't change, what are those core feelings that you're going after, and like that way it'll help you just like give feedback that's a little bit more helpful.
Yeah. Another thing is don't try to fix it while you're playing it. Just play it the way they intend, and then take notes on things you don't like
That's
whatever.
nice.
And then when they ask for feedback, you're prepared with the feelings that you had during the game. It's really hard to teach and lead a playtest, if someone is like calling out all the things that are bad about it during. That's really important information. We need to know it, but we also want to play a whole game so that we can get the whole experience through and get your opinion on the whole experience versus trying to fix it in the middle.
Taking notes is nice. I've like just found myself doing that, like even in our own playtest. It's just like, ooh, this moment was really nice.
Yes.
Like, and here's what I thought in this moment. Here's how I felt in this moment. But the thing about Veiled Fate specifically, and even Moonrakers, is a lot of times you can't, like, you got to keep those feelings to yourself until the end of the game, or they're going to like really give stuff away.
Oh, they lead it.
Yeah, because it's just like, oh, I'm this color. I think you're this color, and this happened, and like, so yeah, taking notes is huge.
The Fail Faster playtesting journal is something that we used on Veiled Fate that we didn't use on Moonrakers, and it was fantastic. I highly recommend it. It might be out of print. I think they just did a Kickstarter for more copies. That was a part of like a whole package, though, so look at that. But yeah, that journal really helped me because it helped me track the time, like the lengths of games, had notes on like what did the winner's strategy do, things like that. Anyway, also, so for playtesting, so every publisher wants BGG reviews. We want feedback. We want this kind of thing. However, if it is an early playtest, please do not go on my BGG channel, my page, whatever, and say, hey, I played this and the art was terrible. Well, yes, the art was really bad just a month ago on this game because we weren't done it. And I don't think anyone's actually going to do that, but we want BGG reviews based on the final game. Or maybe since we're really far ahead and like we're ready to launch this thing, but it's not the final game, I'm ready for people to start putting BGG reviews, so I'm going to ask for them. So like our playtesters now, I'm comfortable with any of them doing that now, but a month ago I wasn't.
Yeah. Ooh, another good thing to do as a playtester: recruit your friends.
Yes,
because it's hard to find.
It is hard to find playtesters. Yeah. Recruit your friends, especially if you think that, oh, this wasn't a game for me, but it would be a game for them. Yeah. They're in the target audience. That's.
I have a question.
Yeah, go ahead.
Based on something Zach said, and this might. Well, you talked about the like asking questions and the like asking about the spirit of the game. And
I think I know where you're going.
This is maybe just a general like art question, but like it's interesting in the board game arena where it's like, at what point is it like ours to say in terms of what the spirit of the game is anymore?
That's a good question.
They are and it's probably a stage of playtesting where it's like early on you are forcing that, whereas like later on the game has to be because you're not around.
That's
always.
True. No, I think that's nice. So like I guess like from a if someone were to ask me that question, I would just give them the really short version, just enough context that they would probably have before they played anyways, and then maybe save the like, here's what we're really going for till the very end, so that way like we can see if we achieve that, or I can wait and hear if they got there on their own. Of just like, oh, like there was in Veiled Fates, like there was just really interesting, intense moments of bluffing, and I really fooled people. And that's like, oh yes, that's one of the feelings that we're really going for.
Yeah.
And so like I maybe wouldn't give them the whole thing, but I would give them like the log line and things like that, like just to get that context of like what would I have normally going into this game that maybe I wouldn't have now because it's like an early playtest.
That makes sense. I like that. That's a good question. Nice. All right.
What was the second
What
question?
can a person that is doing a playtest, they have a game that they're playtesting, how can they make sure it is a good playtest and they get good information out of it? And what are some things not to do too, I guess? I can go first while you think about it if you'd like.
Yep.
One of the biggest things that I do that Zach has had to tell me not to do is I lead people. I say, do you like this because of this? Yes, I do. I thought you did.
Is
Like,
this good
that's-
or great?
Yeah. Is this the best game you've ever played or just the second best? I am bad at that. So don't do that.
Well, I think part of it too that you're also really bad at. No, I'm just kidding.
Wow.
The part of it too is like just like letting people too behind the curtain a little bit too early. Of
Yeah.
just like, we're thinking about this option and this option. So now they're not just like playing the game as if it's like this is the game. Now they're thinking about like,
Oh,
there
the other
are options, and so like maybe that like I don't know.
That
It's
was
just
better.
that kind
Grass
of thing
is
is
greener
helpful.
type thing.
Yeah, exactly.
It can be helpful, but I agree with what you're saying.
Just like waiting until the end. Let them make up their own mind as much as possible.
Yep.
Especially because we're A/B testing a lot of different things all the time. It's just like,
the funny part is when I really want one thing to happen, and so I tell them that I want that to happen, and then they're all led
Yeah, 'cause
that
they
direction
all like
because
you.
hopefully they know me more than they know the other people, and then I have to eat crow when I'm like, crap, the other way's better, which just happened on the way that we score this game. Anyway, fun times.
one of many, many times. It's
Ouch. All right, Max, you have any thoughts? How to put on a good playtest?
Yeah, I mean, we've talked about this before, but definitely just initially give like framing things to the way you want it to go, and that's partly on you beforehand to even know that. Like, you have to decide going into any playtest what is the most beneficial thing for this playtest, and like where are you at, and you have to have kind of a roadmap of what a playtest might look like at this point in the game structure, and so I think it's probably pretty easy to go in, be like, here's the game, here's how you play, and do it. And like, maybe that's helpful sometimes, but a lot of times they probably need more information outside of that.
Makes sense.
Yeah, and I do think, and with that, I think it fits in with what you're saying. Is like there are also times where you're just like a drop and run kind of play test, where you just like, here's the game, come back in an hour and tell me how it was. Like, that's
does it work as a game?
Yeah, like is
it a game?
Yeah, exactly. Or is it like with no context, how does it do? And that's a really important thing too, because that's ultimately what's going to happen. So eventually you'll get to that place as well too. So mine is a little bit more, I don't like, just to be a good playtester, just know that the depression and the feeling of wanting to abandon everything that you are doing is normal. Like making a game is like writing a screenplay or a novel.
Because they have tons
or
of
it is
experience with
well,
writing
I don't know.
a screenplay.
Everyone has creative projects. Everyone, not everyone, but like it's like making any other creative thing. Like go read The War of Art. Like go learn about that. Like I'm gonna read it again. I'm like totally escaping me. The that like push towards just like, this is no good, I should give up. Like both of our games that we've made have been in that place, and it's just like, it's a normal part of the creative process. You're gonna have playtests that are awful, and that feels terrible, and it's gonna make you want to give up, and just ride that wave of that feeling, and you will come back up. You will have new ideas, and like but you need those moments, because those are the moments that are gonna make your game great, because you're gonna learn from them, and so like the more you do it, the more you can get practiced at it, and the more you can recognize that feeling, that terrible feeling, and know that it's going to pass, and know that it's good for you, and eventually learn to welcome it. So that's
and piggybacking on that, like imposter syndrome is real. Like there's so many good companies making great games, that it's like, do we need more games? And the answer is yes. You should make your game, and you don't have to be an artist. You don't have to have made a game or anything before. Like, just start, and maybe you'll find something really fun and be the next Jamie Stegmaier.
Yeah, and I think along that is like when you're starting out, you're pulling from games, like pretty straight up. Like this is a really fun part of a game, and like part of the like whole imposter syndrome. Like it's like you often go into that being like, is this even unique? And I can tell you almost every time it will be unique.
Yes.
Like you're going to automatically put something to it that's different, or a different mashup, and it will evolve to something new.
I hope everyone was listening for that, because that was a really good nugget of wisdom. It's like, don't feel like you're an imposter just because there are other games with other mechanics. Like those games took mechanics from other games. Like, yes, make it new, put it together, but like artists steal things. Like Austin Kleon, you steal little bits from everyone. The trick is to make it come from a lot of different sources and make it something new, and not steal from one person and make their game.
If you're just putting new art on an existing game,
don't do that. Unless you're the person that made the first game.
Unless you're Monopoly. And then do it.
Fortnite Monopoly, best game of the year. I have not played that game, and I do not think that. That's my disclaimer.
I really want it to go the other way. I want to be able to play Monopoly in a game of Fortnite.
Oh my gosh.
Epic.
This is brilliant.
Hit me up.
They have the cars now. You could like, oh man.
I know.
This
is
you
like buy real estate.
For, Zach?
I don't know.
The idea's already done. You've already given it to him.
Call me.
No,
that was the whole
I have
thing.
more. I have more. I have many dozens of ideas.
If you like that one, love the next one.
Okay, so that is not a game we're excited about, because that's not going to happen. Fortnite's not going to do Monopoly. But there are games live on Kickstarter that we are excited about. They're not going to do that.
They're going to make Fortnite until we are dead, and they're going to run out of theme ideas for seasons.
Moonrakers, Fortnite.
There it is.
There it is.
Now Epic calls. Now that's a reason
you need
to
us
call
for that one.
Wait, guys, this is good.
Okay, what is it?
Star Wars Monopoly themed Fortnite.
Wow.
Star Wars Monopoly.
Okay, so Star Wars Monopoly on the computer in 1995. No, 1990-10. I'm a genius. In 2000 was great. Got there. All right. 1990-10.
This is great. We're live, everybody.
All right, Max, talk about your game that you're excited about.
Yeah, what is this new? What is this segment? We're now talking about games we love.
Games we love. Games we're excited about. Yeah.
Yeah, mine is Galaxy Hunters. You are mercenaries sent out to hunt down mutants across the galaxy.
Love it.
Love it.
I don't think this picture does it justice for how big these mechs are.
I mean, it looks pretty big. I mean, I assume it is not to scale on that against that box. So
yeah, what I'm saying is just like it could be anything. But it is quite large, and you are moving these and other ships around, and because you are a pilot with a mech, and you're combining them, and they have some interlocking thing where it's like depending on the pilot and the mech, they have different, helpful bonuses depending on which combo you're using.
Yeah. I thought that was super cool.
Yeah, that is cool.
And then you're basically just using these ships and your mech as like a worker placement type game in which you're gathering resources, upgrading your mech, and then eventually the end result being your mech is fighting these mutants and you're getting points for that. So
yeah, I'm actually oh, sorry. Max.
Go ahead, Austin.
I'm a little sad that this game is only at half their funding goal, because it looks really cool. And our Discord was talking about this for a while. That's actually how I found it. And I'm excited. I mean, that's like something we've all dreamt about, is riding around in a mech, right? I mean, at least I have.
Is that a reoccurring dream you have?
Oh, I'm sorry. A daydream.
Oh, okay. It's like I've never had a dream of being in a mech. I don't know. I feel like that dream was just realized with Titanfall, but
true.
And I was just so bad at that. I was so bad at Titanfall.
I don't know. It's It looks good. The mechs are huge. I mean, I'm looking at the Kickstarter page right now, and it says that they are 65 millimeters. That is pretty. Oh no, it's 65 millimeters larger. Hold on, it is. No, they're 65 millimeters. Yeah.
65.
So like a normal like mini is like 30 millimeters. I think.
Yeah, 28. So it's like
That's super fun.
It's a big difference.
That's a big difference. It's like double a normal miniature.
No, I really love like this. There really seems like there's a lot of like building aspect. I don't think it's not engine building. Like, is there a term for that mechanic? It's
no,
like,
but
like you're with the upgrades. Like you've got two key pairings at the beginning, the pilot and the mech, which seems like it's really like there's a lot of different like strategies that you could have with just that. But then there's the upgrades on top, and it seems like you could build a really interesting mech over time. I'm really curious about
upgrade spots, which is really cool.
Yeah,
just
I really like
around
how
it.
the tableau gets bigger too.
Yep.
Because you like when you add new pieces of equipment, it like comes onto the other side of the mech tableau. It looks really cool.
That's great.
And so there's a bunch of resource management of like because you're getting all of these guns, and then you have to get ammo and energy for these guns.
Yep.
And then you're spending those. So you can just like get a bunch of guns, but then go into a battle with no ammo, and it's like, what are you gonna do?
Nothing good.
But yeah, then it seems like you're just trying to find these mutants across the galaxy and take them down. I think it's most VPs at the end of 9 rounds.
Okay.
The win condition. And I always like a game that's a like straight up round limit. Like just like I can plan for that.
Yeah, that's nice. Is it like kind of kills related, like the amount of things that you hunt down, and that's like VPs, or is it different?
The mutants are definitely part of the VPs, but it's like they have different levels, and so
Got it.
The harder the mutant, the more VPs. But I bet some of them are like, I'd imagine some of them are like more resource heavy versus VPs, but maybe they're all VPs.
That's cool.
Cool. Awesome. Well, go check that one out. It still has quite a bit of time left. They still have like 3 weeks, so definitely time to make their funding on that one. I'm sure they will, just based on the way our Discord was talking about it. They seemed really excited about it, and that's usually a good barometer for me on whether something's going to fund or not.
Definitely. I will say before you get into yours, we are going to do a little bit of answering a couple questions, maybe about playtesting at the end after we're done with this segment. So if you have questions, put them in there. We'll get back to them in a little bit. But.
And then we're also going to shoot a Q&A video later. That's the Q&A from our social media channels.
Yeah, so save your veiled fake questions for then.
Yeah.
Because we will be doing a full hour on that later today.
Woo! All right, so I chose Antimatter as my game, and we talked about this for a long time on the Discord a couple days ago. And one, the artwork to me is really cool, and I'll tell you why. I would love to have an experience of being in like, all right, so in Solo, a lot of people didn't like that movie. I did. Well, it was not a bad movie. I really like.
Don't get started, Austin. Don't.
Star Wars is my thing. I really like the feeling of like the sabacc table where they're doing tricks. Like Lando had that like thing in his sleeve that gave him cards, and Han swiped it. Spoilers. Anyway, but like I love the idea of being like on a crew that's doing heists at like these casinos, and that's kind of what this game is.
Yeah.
So it is either a positive for you or a negative for you that this game does have some basis on Texas Hold'em. So if you do,
it's a lot.
Some
which
was
I actually think
generous.
is rad, but
yeah. It's kind of gutsy to take an existing very popular game and be like, we're gonna make this better and cooler and have cool art.
Yeah.
And personally, based on looking at this, I think they pulled it off.
I think they did too. This is really cool.
Which is not easy to do on something that's a game that everyone knows. The components are real nice.
Yeah, they're so cool.
We're currently only pledged at the Kickstarter edition level. We have not pledged for the deluxe edition. The deluxe edition has all of the really fancy gold foil and metal components. I think I'm probably going to go back and upgrade it because we're components people here. But I don't know. I'm excited about this. What do you think about it?
Well, so it's funny because like this was kind of floating around our Discord a little bit, and like I didn't look into it too much, just kind of like through my notifications at first, and I was kind of like, oh, wouldn't it be cool if like it was almost like a game within a game, like there was like a poker, and then like you're flying around on a ship, and you're going out there and you're doing other things, but then you do like a round of poker. Like that would be a cool game, and that's like exactly what it is. Like, and I was like, that's so cool. Like I love this like idea of a game within a game, and they like kind of affect each other in interesting ways, and one flows into another. But it's got this really nice like kind of world building mechanic that makes you feel like you're sitting down with, with Han and losing at some poker. I don't know. It's
I will also say that
they got me hooked with that first sentence, like just in there, like the way that they hook the game. I was like, it'd be really cool if it was like this, and then I scrolled down and it was like that.
Yeah,
so
perfect. It has so much more custom art than I thought it would. Like just like scrolling through the page, like there's like multiple types of decks. Like there's different poker decks. But like all the art is really interesting. I don't know. I think that they really went the extra mile on making unique art throughout the game.
Yeah.
Max, what do you think of this one?
Yeah, I think initially going into it, I thought it was a very like artsy rebrand of Hold'em with like some like extra elements in which they just like built out that game more. And then finding out like Zach did of like it's just a really good world building mechanic, and like not only you're playing Hold'em in this world, like and for other reasons, and and plus like art's awesome.
Plus poker chips.
Yeah.
I mean, we actually wanted to make poker chips for a game. I don't remember what it was, but then we were like, oh man, who made what's that betting game that you love? Dadgum. It's trivia, but you like
like Wits and Wagers.
Wits and Wagers poker chips are great.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, they're not solid gold. Like high end poker chips. But yeah, they've got a weight to them, which is nice. One of the things that I do really like about this as well that is like kind of tough, like we don't do poker nights or anything like that, and I don't have anything against poker. I like poker, but we have other games. But it's like I feel like I am not at a position where I'm playing for like any kind of high stakes poker, like no. But it's nice to be able to play poker where there are stakes that like are a little bit different, I guess. Like there are stakes in another game kind of that like that
makes
matter,
it feel more real.
And you don't have to play with money. You can just like, I don't know. I really like that like change in the thinking of poker. Like I feel like a lot of times when I play poker, the stakes really aren't that high, and so it's just not that fun and not that dramatic, because I'm not like losing $1 million over this hand of poker, but like I might be losing this whole other game based on this hand of poker. So really I like that like swapping out of stakes.
I hadn't thought about that. We played for fishies, like goldfish, like the snack.
Yeah.
And like you'd find yourself eating them, and you're like, no.
Yeah, or
like,
you just go all in because it doesn't matter.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
Like it really doesn't.
The amount of all-ins in Texas Hold'em among friends.
Is
ridiculous.
It's just like, and it doesn't make it fun. But I feel like this is a way to actually make poker fun. That's a really hot take. But
ooh, wow. All right. Zach.
Yes.
You chose.
I chose Syndicate. Yeah. It is a sci-fi 4X game. Austin, I feel like you're my 4X friend.
I am your 4X friend.
Means you're my friend 4 times.
So
it's sci-fi universe, basically different crime syndicates. Every player plays as a different crime syndicate. It seems like there's some like asymmetry with your starting player board depending upon which crime syndicate you pick. Over time, you unlock abilities and tech on your player board. So there's that kind of building up your crime syndicate feeling. There also there's like divergent paths to victory. So it seems like there are different like win scenarios, which is pretty cool. You play on a big map. You're expanding your empire. There's 18 different locations and a bunch of different cards for the locations. There's like the different locations have abilities depending upon where you expand to, which is cool. But with that kind of divergent paths to victory, there's like classic 4X type thing, right? You got like your war, you can take on jobs and missions, and then there's the trading element, which is really cool. That's one of the things that really stood out to me about this is you can trade anything. You can trade planets, you can trade the missions that you're going on, like anything resources.
That's cool. That is cool.
But then there's also traps that you can lay for people, and so like there's these like nice like table relational dynamics, which is really cool because you're obviously it's a competitive game, but you're also making temporary alliances through trading and things like that. So
so number one, I love 4X games, like you said. I don't know of many 4X games you can play in 90 to 120 minutes.
Yeah, that is very impressive.
So that's impressive. Now we talked about this on our episode of game length, that those aren't necessarily always true, But we're gonna give them the benefit of the doubt here and say that's awesome.
Yeah, no, that's amazing. The other thing that was really cool that stood out here too is like there is, what do they call it? It is the Sovereign. Is basically like the Empire, you're the crime syndicates. They are kind of your enemy, and there's a slider. So like essentially, the more noise you make as a crime syndicate, this slider goes up, and eventually, like it makes things more difficult for you. But eventually, this like big mini comes out of this like ship that like attacks you literally.
Oh,
so
fun.
you're trying to like do all this stuff, but do it in secret,
Sneaky.
not fail your missions because it's gonna make your life harder. Played in 6 to 8 rounds, and the highest syndicate score wins. So basically, whoever has the best syndicate at the end of the game. And then my last takeaway is there are metal cubes, gold cubes. I'm a sucker for
Metal.
some gold cubes.
So is it weird to say you're proud of someone you don't know?
Yes.
I'm proud of them. Because this is the second time they launched this game.
Yeah, I was gonna say that.
Syndicate launched before this, and I don't know if it had hit its funding goal, but only barely, or what happened. But they ended up canceling the game, and then they took tons of feedback from the people that had pledged already and said, like, what if you did this? Like, could we playtest it? Like, all this different stuff. And they took all of that information, and they made Syndicate Redux, which is their second launch. And obviously they did something right because they're 10,000 over their funding goal, maybe more than that at this point.
Yeah, you did it.
So good job, guys. Really proud that you were able to not take that as we're bad at making games, we should stop, but as let's take this feedback and make the game better and relaunch.
Yeah.
So
they added minis, single player this time around, and then they mentioned something about a 3D player mat stretch goal. So
what in the world is that?
I don't know, but I didn't see it on there, but I was looking. So I'm really excited about what that might be like because
keep your game pieces organized on a 3D mat.
Oh,
Wow,
yeah.
that's interesting.
Is there a picture?
That's cool.
Not that I've seen
Okay,
yet.
I can't wait to see it. We got to get that stretch goal.
All right.
Any thoughts on this one, Max? Sorry, I just talked to you.
I think that what I like about this and Antimatter actually is they're both like extremely lore heavy.
Mm-hmm.
And
True.
For these types of games, I love when they go really deep into it, like TI.
Yeah,
does
TI
it.
is so
like
deep
where it's
on
just like
lore.
yeah, it's like let's really flesh out this world. It has a relatively limited role in actual gameplay, but it definitely gets people more excited about what's going on, especially in this type of like syndicate world. Like,
Yeah,
it's so cool. Like you can just like stand behind like whatever your chosen syndicate is and like know more about it. I love when game makers do that.
totally, and it makes the shared enemy aspect with the Sovereign like coming in, like I don't know, have that much more weight. I think too. Like it really, I don't know. I think they did a nice job of putting in mechanics that like really do make you feel like you're a bunch of crime syndicates. Like you're kind of in this together, but you're also not. It's a little Moonrakers-esque there.
Yeah, definitely.
Obviously,
They didn't rip it.
not to say that
Yeah.
that was our idea or anything. I just mean like it like reminded me of that a little bit.
Totally.
Yeah, and I don't know. I think it seems like everything is tying back to that lore, which is really nice.
It is nice. It's funny. Jacob was like, "I think this is their second Kickstarter for this on the thing," and it definitely is. Jacob, you were not wrong. So I'm excited about this game. I'm pumped that they relaunched it. So excited to get it. They only had one backing level. They had a second one that was like a group set, but it was one backing level. It's the game. It's what you get. Their stretch goals. I think that's how we would do it if we didn't do it the way we do it. That was really confusing. We don't do stretch goals, and we have a base game, and then we have everything that we would want in the game. Like so, basically, we have like a base game, and then a game that is basically all the stretch goals that we would have made, but it's just the option for it. It's like the game we wanted to make.
Yep.
They have one level, and it gets better for everyone. And there are reasons for both, but I'm proud of them. I think this is a good idea to do it that way. So, yeah. Cool.
Sweet. Well, those are the games.
Those
we
are the
love.
games.
Do we have any questions, or do we answer them all?
I think we answered them all while we were playing. If you're watching the stream, you have a question, ask it real fast. We kind of did the IV update already on where the games are and where Failed Fate is. So I think that we're good on that.
Yeah, I mean, come back. We're doing a big Q&A. We got a bunch of questions on Facebook and Instagram about Veiled Fate.
Yep.
We're going to answer all of them in a couple of hours.
No, less than that.
Less than that. Wow. Great.
1 hour. What?
At noon.
At noon.
50 minutes from now.
50 minutes from now, noon central.
We'll be back right here to talk about our new game, Veiled Fate. Moonrakers is shipping soon.
So soon. I cannot wait.
We're making all kinds of fun things for Veiled Fate. It's fun to see it in real life. Come join us on the Discord.
Really it's so cool seeing the board.
Yeah, come join us on the Discord. Play some games with us on Tabletop Sim, and come test your game. Show us what you're working on.
Yeah, show us what you're working on.
Come into member game design over on the Discord. Let's chat. Let's talk about it.
All right. Thank you guys so much for joining us for the first live episode. I personally really like this because we were able to like see and like interact with people the whole time. This has been the dream for the show since the beginning. So,
you've had dreams about this?
Daydreams, Zach. Golly,
Just daydreams.
Just
Zach.
daydreams. All right, guys. Thank you so much for joining us.